Imagine if the most powerful knowledge on Earth was hidden from you on purpose. A formula that could bend gravity, a technique that could stop a man's heart with one touch, a book that could predict the downfall of every civilization, centuries in advance. Now, imagine that this knowledge isn't just real, but has been protected for over 2,000 years by a secret brotherhood. And that right now, as you watch this, it's still being guarded by 9 men you will never meet. Men who don't appear in history books. Men who never speak to the public. Men who are only known as the 9 Unknown. You've heard of the Illuminati. You've heard of the Freemasons. But long before Europe's secret societies were even born, there were whispers of 9 guardians in ancient India, chosen not to rule empires, but to protect knowledge that could destroy them. The story begins with one of history's most ruthless kings, a warlord who killed over 100,000 people in a single campaign, only to wake up one morning completely changed. What happened after that would shape the greatest unsolved mystery in India's esoteric history, and possibly the world. In 261 BCE, the Indian subcontinent was engulfed in one of its bloodiest wars, the Battle of Kalinga. Ashoka Maurya, emperor of the Mauryan Empire, was expanding his domain, ambitious, brilliant, and utterly ruthless. According to his own edicts, over 100,000 people were slaughtered, and many more were exiled or left to starve. But something happened that no one expected. The killing didn't harden Ashoka, it broke him. According to Buddhist chronicles like the Ashokavadana, Ashoka was overcome with horror, haunted by what he'd done. He renounced violence. He embraced Buddhism. He vowed never to conquer with the sword again, only through righteousness, dharma. The transformation was so total that centuries later, even H.G. Wells would write, "Amidst the tens of thousands of names of monarchs, Ashoka shines and shines, almost alone, a star." But here's where the real mystery begins. Ashoka wasn't just having a spiritual awakening. He had seen something, a pattern, a terrifying realization. That knowledge, when abused, is more dangerous than any army. So, Ashoka did something no ruler before him had ever dared to do. He gathered the 9 greatest minds in India, experts in science, medicine, war, psychology, each man a genius. And then he gave them a secret task: to collect, guard, and update the most dangerous knowledge on Earth. Knowledge that could upend civilization if it ever fell into the wrong hands. Each man was entrusted with a book, a single tome containing secrets that humanity wasn't ready for. Together, these 9 volumes would become one of the most forbidden collections of knowledge in human history. The 9 were sworn to complete anonymity. No one outside the Brotherhood was allowed to know their identities. And if one of them died, he would be replaced, but never revealed. The society would persist. Always 9, never 10, never 8. In Indian accounts, this secret order was known as the Gupt Samaj, the Hidden Society. Their motto was simple, chilling, and timeless. Knowledge is power, but uncontrolled knowledge is annihilation. But what exactly were in those 9 books? And more importantly, where are they now? That's where things start to get disturbing. Before we open the first book, ask yourself, if knowledge could grant you godlike power, would you use it? Or would you hide it from the world? Welcome back, Seeker. If this story is blowing your mind, don't forget to subscribe, because what comes next might not just rewrite history, it might rewrite reality. They weren't just scholars, they weren't just guardians, they were curators of forbidden science, entrusted with 9 books that could reshape the fate of humanity. Each man held dominion over one discipline, but these weren't subjects you'd find in a university. These were sciences too dangerous to be taught, and too powerful to be destroyed. And if you believe the legends, these books still exist. Let's open them one by one. The first book is said to be the most dangerous of them all, a manual on propaganda, the science of mind control, how to influence mass opinion with just words. Long before Edward Bernays, Goebbels, or social media algorithms, The Nine Unknown allegedly mastered this. According to modern retellings, this book contained the psychology of language and the algorithms of belief, the kind of knowledge that could ignite revolutions or suppress them in silence. One account puts it bluntly: if you control what people think, you don't need to control what they do. And for over 2 millennia, this book's techniques were supposedly used not to enslave humanity, but to keep it from tearing itself apart. Book 2 explores the human body, not to heal it, but to control it. This is the source of the infamous death touch, a technique so precise, so lethal, that a single strike could reverse a nerve impulse and kill instantly. You've seen it in films, in legends, dim mak, the 5-point palm exploding heart technique. But what if that wasn't fantasy? What if someone actually wrote it down 2,000 years ago? Modern historians laugh it off, but martial artists in the East have whispered of a lost technique. And some believe leaks from this very book gave birth to entire disciplines, like judo or kalaripayattu, a book that could heal or kill. The third book dealt with something no one could see in Ashoka's time: microbes. That's right. While Europe still blamed diseases on demons, Ashoka's 9 may have been cataloging bacteria, viruses, antibiotics, and the ways to weaponize or cure them. According to legend, Book 3 contained formulas for miraculous medicines, but also methods of biological warfare, the kind of knowledge that could save millions or wipe them out. Some versions claim that over the centuries, fragments of this book leaked, inspiring early advances in immunology and medicine. One story ties it to Alexandre Yersin, the Pasteur Institute scientist who discovered the plague bacterium in the 1890s. Rumors say he gained insights during a mysterious trip to India, whispers of secrets far older than Western science. No proof, but the implication is clear. Humanity's fight against epidemics may not have been guided solely by observation and luck. It may have been nudged along by hidden hands, choosing when to reveal the cure. A book like this would be the most paradoxical of all: the power to heal civilization, or to end it overnight. The fourth book has always been the most misunderstood. On the surface, it's about the philosopher's dream, turning base metals into gold. But alchemists have whispered for centuries: the real gold isn't found in a crucible, it's found in the mind. Transmutation was never just chemical, it was symbolic. The process of refining base matter into perfection mirrored the refining of the human being, from ignorance into wisdom, from ego into enlightenment. In that light, the 9 Unknown weren't just metallurgists. They may have been psychologists before psychology existed, masters of how to break down and rebuild human consciousness itself. Think of it this way: if you can transmute metals, you control economies. But if you can transmute minds, you control civilizations. That's the real secret of Book 4. Not gold, not silver, but the alchemy of human nature. The fifth book is about communication, but not just words. Imagine a manual that decodes all languages, not just Sanskrit or Greek, but the hidden architecture that underlies every tongue. A universal grammar so powerful it could let you walk into any culture, any age, and be understood instantly. But the book doesn't stop there. It is said to contain principles of cryptography, secret codes, ciphers, and ways to conceal or reveal meaning. Knowledge that could outwit empires, topple spies, or make diplomacy invisible. And beneath that, an even more esoteric layer. In Indian mysticism, sound, shabda, is not just vibration, it's creation itself. If you master communication at this level, you don't just translate language, you alter perception. You speak directly to consciousness. Some claim Book 5 even hinted at non-verbal contact, intuition, telepathy, silent knowing. Not messages across nations, but messages across minds. It may not be talking to aliens. It may be something stranger, unlocking the hidden language of reality itself. The sixth book is said to contain the greatest secret of all: how to defy gravity. In Hindu epics, the gods and heroes rode machines called vimanas, flying chariots that cross skies and even worlds. Were they myths or coded memories of lost science? In the early 20th century, a Sanskrit text surfaced describing aeronautical diagrams and strange propulsion systems. Scholars dismissed it as modern invention, but the idea behind it, that India once preserved knowledge of anti-gravity, fits perfectly with the legend of the Nine. Yet, not all interpretations are mechanical. In yogic philosophy, there's a siddhi called lagama, the power of lightness. The ability to make the body weightless, to rise above the earth. Not technology, but mastery of natural law through the mind. Perhaps Book 6 wasn't a manual for building spacecraft. Perhaps it was something subtler and more dangerous. A deep understanding of gravity, both physical and spiritual. Because if you can control what falls, you can also control what rises. Was this how colossal temples were raised? Was this the hidden hand that made myths of flying chariots possible? Whether machinery or mind, Book 6 represents the power to master the very force that binds us to the earth. A force humanity has only just begun to understand, but that the Nine may have conquered long ago. If Book 6 was about gravity, Book 7 pushed further into cosmology, not astronomy in the modern sense, but a vast framework of time, space, and creation. In Indian tradition, the universe isn't linear. It breathes in cycles. A single day of Brahma, one kalpa, spans billions of human years. A single age, a yuga, can stretch for millennia before dissolving into the next. The seventh book was said to map these cycles with precision, to calculate not just the movement of planets, but the rise and fall of worlds. Was this book describing physics or prophecy? Some versions claim it hinted at the possibility of moving through these cycles, bending time, traversing ages, not by machines, but by understanding the architecture of reality itself. In modern terms, it would sound like time travel. In ancient terms, it was the wisdom of the cosmos. Know the cycle, and you know your place. Know the cycle, and you know the end. This book may not have held blueprints for warp drives or wormholes, but it carried something even more disquieting, the knowledge that civilizations like stars have lifespans. And those lifespans can be predicted. To master cosmology was to master destiny, and perhaps to step outside it. The eighth book focused on light, not just as a physical phenomenon, but as the essence of perception itself. Modern science sees light as energy, waves, particles, speed limits of the universe. But in Indian philosophy, prakasha, illumination, is also a symbol of consciousness. To master light was to master both physics and mind. Legends claim this book contained ways to manipulate light, to bend it, conceal objects, even render them invisible. Practical optics, weaponized beams, perhaps even early principles of energy weapons. But the esoteric reading goes deeper. If you can bend light, you don't just hide objects. You control how reality is seen. Some initiates say Book 8 was less about lasers and more about perception itself. Light is how humans understand the world. To manipulate light is to manipulate truth. Think about it. In the hands of a physicist, light becomes energy and weaponry. In the hands of a sage, light becomes a doorway to higher states of awareness. This book blurred the two, matter and mind, illumination and deception, the power to reveal and the power to blind. The ninth and final book may have been the most unsettling of all. It wasn't about weapons, energy, or technology. It was about people, a manual of sociology, the hidden rules by which societies are born, thrive, and collapse. Ancient India already had Arthashastra, a treatise on politics and statecraft. But this went further. It wasn't advice for rulers. It was the mathematics of history itself. If you could read this book, you could chart the lifespan of kingdoms, predict revolutions, foresee decline before it happens. Some traditions say the Nine used this book to nudge humanity away from collapse. Others believe it was a tool of control, ensuring power remained with those who knew the cycles. Because if you can predict society's breaking points, you can prevent them or exploit them. This is the hidden terror of Book 9, It doesn't need armies. It doesn't need weapons. It only needs foresight, the ability to shape civilizations like clay, while the rest of us believe history is unfolding naturally. 9 books, 9 secrets, 9 guardians, and not one of them ever broke their silence. Not once in 2,000 years, or so we're told. Because in 1923, the seal was broken, and the 9 unknown men, once myth, suddenly appeared in fiction, only to return as fact decades later. If the 9 unknown men were real, they did a flawless job of disappearing. No mention in Ashoka's edicts, no trace in Buddhist chronicles, no temple inscriptions, no archaeological evidence, no ancient scrolls, just silence, until 1923, when a British pulp novelist shattered the code, not in a library, but in the pages of an adventure magazine. His name was Talbot Mundy, British by birth, former colonial official, later a mystic, and most importantly, a novelist with a taste for forbidden knowledge. In 1923, Mundy published a serial called The 9 Unknown, a globe-trotting thriller set in colonial India. The plot? A secret society of 9 ancient sages guarding books of dangerous knowledge, attacked by dark occultists who want that knowledge for themselves. Sound familiar? That's because this was the first time the 9 unknown men appeared in print. Mundy didn't cite ancient manuscripts. He cited his imagination. Or so we think. In the novel, the 9 are noble, guardians of truth, living in secrecy while the modern world blunders into chaos. The villains? A rival group of Kali-worshipping assassins pretending to be the 9, using hypnotism, ritual magic, and terrorism to acquire the forbidden books. The hero? A Jesuit priest named Father Cyprian who, plot twist, doesn't want to use the books. He wants to burn them, all 9. Why? Because, in his words, no man should wield godlike knowledge. So what starts as an adventure becomes a moral war between those who wish to preserve dangerous wisdom and those who would destroy it before it destroys us. Now here's where things get weird. Talbot Mundy later became involved with Theosophy, a mystical movement that believed in hidden masters guiding human evolution from behind the scenes. He spent years in India, spoke fluent Hindi, was obsessed with Eastern wisdom, and claimed to have encountered whispers of real sages who possessed immense knowledge. So, was The 9 Unknown just a novel? Or was it a cloaked disclosure? Many modern researchers believe Mundy might have taken an oral legend, perhaps something half-whispered in Himalayan monasteries or Sufi orders, and dramatized it for a Western audience. Others believe he invented everything. But here's the catch. His novel was never intended as fact. The problem is, people didn't treat it that way. Enter Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier, 2 French esoteric researchers who, in 1960, published a book that changed everything. Le Matin des Magiciens, Morning of the Magicians. This wasn't a novel, it was a manifesto, an early blueprint for today's conspiracy culture. And inside its pages, the 9 unknown men return, not as myth, but as historical fact. Pauwels and Bergier didn't just quote Mundy, they expanded the myth. They named the 9 books, claimed the 9 influenced key historical figures, even said one of them gave knowledge to Pope Sylvester II in the 10th century, enabling him to build a robotic talking head that could predict the future. That's right, the Pope had an AI chatbot in the year 1000. Is this laughable? Maybe, but it's also dangerously compelling, because Pauwels and Bergier weren't writing fiction. They were writing fantastic realism. The idea that reality contains secrets too strange for modern minds. Their readers didn't laugh, they believed. One of the most viral features of the 9 Unknown legend is the list of their domains: propaganda, death touch, microbiology, gravity, time travel, and so on. You've probably seen this list everywhere online, but guess what? It doesn't appear in Talbot Mundy's original novel. No chapters, no labels, no book titles. The full list, the version we know today, originates in Pauwels and Bergier's Morning of the Magicians, which means the 9 books are not ancient lore. They are mid-20th century French occult fan fiction, masquerading as ancient truth. And yet, that list exploded because it made sense. It fit the pattern. It made the 9 feel real. By the 1970s, the 9 unknown men were everywhere. In conspiracy books, occult zines, even Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible gave them a shout-out in the dedication. Authors began connecting the 9 to everything from Atlantis to aliens. Some claimed they influenced Pasteur, Einstein, even APJ Abdul Kalam, India's former president and missile man. Zero evidence, but lots of belief. It didn't matter where the story started. What mattered was how believable it became. Why did people start believing a novel? Because it spoke to a primal truth that maybe, just maybe, we're not in control of our future. That, for all our science and democracy and freedom, someone else is steering the wheel. Not corrupt politicians, not corporations, not lizard people, but enlightened men, in the shadows, guarding knowledge, deciding when we're ready and when we're not. But what if the 9 weren't alone? What if other secret societies older than history still exist? What if they survived, quietly weaving themselves into every major secret society since? For decades, writers tried to collapse the 9 unknown men into the same basket as the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, or the Great White Brotherhood. But that's not the story. The 9 are not the Illuminati. They are not Rosicrucians. They are not Masons in disguise. They are something else entirely. A parallel current. An Eastern counterbalance to the secret orders of the West. Think of history as a river with 2 hidden streams. In the West, orders like the Illuminati, Rosicrucians, and Masons, guardians of esoteric Christianity, Hermeticism, alchemy, and political influence, visible enough to leave symbols carved into cathedrals and dollar bills. In the East, the 9 unknown, silent, invisible, operating in secrecy since Ashoka's time, not seeking recognition, but guarding knowledge itself. Different traditions, different goals, but always in coexistence, and just, maybe, occasionally in contact. Look closely, and the 9 surface everywhere, hidden in plain sight. In Hinduism, there are the Navaratnas, the 9 gems, legendary scholars and sages in royal courts. They weren't secret, but they set the precedent. 9 wise men shaping history. In yogic traditions, there's the Navanath Sampradaya, 9 immortal masters, possessors of siddhis, or supernatural powers. Immortality, invisibility, mastery of the elements. Sound familiar? Even in Sufi mysticism, the number 9 holds sacred meaning, representing divine knowledge guarded by hidden saints. Across cultures, 9 is the number of hidden powers. Coincidence? Or an ancient archetype echoing across millennia? It doesn't stop on Earth. In the 1970s, Western psychics claimed contact with an entity called the Council of 9, cosmic beings overseeing universal balance. Was this New Age nonsense, or an echo of the same archetype? 9 guardians, 9 hidden rulers, 9 eternal architects of knowledge and fate. From Ashoka's sages to alien overseers, the number 9 repeats, and the mystery deepens. Some believe the Indian government inherited the 9's knowledge post-independence, that classified research, unexplained scientific leaps, and secret military projects in India trace back to ancient scrolls hidden since Ashoka's reign. No proof, no whistleblowers, but plenty of rumors. It raises the ultimate question. If such knowledge of microbiology, gravity, societal control truly exists, would we ever be allowed to know? Or is humanity simply being drip-fed discovery? At a pace we can survive, 9 books, 9 men, endless possibilities. But what happens when the seal is finally broken, and forbidden knowledge spills into unprepared hands? In the next chapter, the final twist of the 9 unknown legend, we reveal the hidden message embedded in their myth, and why their greatest secret might not be technology, but control itself. For over 2,000 years, if the legend is true, the world's most dangerous knowledge has been hidden in plain sight, not destroyed, not lost, but curated, controlled, quietly evolving behind the scenes. But here's the question they never want you to ask. Why? Why does this powerful knowledge need to be hidden? Why can't humanity be trusted with it? And more importantly, who decides? The story of the 9 unknown men isn't just about ancient India. It's not just about secret societies or conspiracy fantasies. It's about the single greatest dilemma of civilization. What happens when technology outpaces morality? Ashoka learned that lesson the hard way. 100,000 dead at Kalinga. Victory drowned in blood. And in that moment, the emperor saw the future, a world where knowledge, unrestrained, destroys everything. So, he created the 9 guardians of dangerous wisdom. 9 men sworn to hide what could not yet be controlled, not to hoard power, but to prevent annihilation, or so the story goes. But here's where the story fractures into something darker. If knowledge is power, and power corrupts, then what stops the 9 themselves from becoming tyrants? Who holds them accountable? Who decides when the world is ready? Who chooses what knowledge you're allowed to have? It's the classic paradox of control. Hide knowledge and you stagnate civilization. Share it freely and you risk extinction. Place it in the hands of an elite few and hope they're incorruptible. But history shows us one brutal fact. No one stays pure forever. Are we living in the 9's carefully curated timeline? A world sanitized of knowledge we're not ready for? Or is that just the illusion they've crafted? You see, the 9 unknown men may be a myth, but the mechanism they represent is very real. It's called information suppression. It happens when governments bury discoveries, when corporations patent and shelve disruptive tech, when whistleblowers vanish, when breakthroughs disappear into classified vaults. It's happening now, all around you. The only difference? The modern 9 wear suits, not robes. They sit in boardrooms, not monasteries. Their books are encrypted files and black budget reports, but the principle is the same. Guard knowledge, shape civilization, control progress, all under the guise of protecting humanity from itself. So, why does the legend of the 9 unknown men still capture imaginations? Because it reflects a deeper fear, that our fate is decided by unseen hands, that knowledge is rationed, that someone, somewhere, has the power to pull civilization's strings. And we never voted for them. It's a seductive fantasy. It's a terrifying possibility. And it's a powerful metaphor. Even if Ashoka's 9 never existed, the legend survives because we fear uncontrolled knowledge. We crave enlightened guardians. We resent those who hoard secrets. And we secretly hope someone is watching the gates. Because the alternative? A free-for-all of technology and destruction. Welcome to the modern age, where knowledge moves faster than ever, and where no 9 unknown men are stopping us. Or are they? So here's the final disturbing thought. If the 9 unknown men never existed, we're on our own. No guardians, no secret oversight. No one is hiding the dangerous knowledge but us. And we've proven we're terrible at self-control. But if the 9 unknown men do exist, we've never had free will. Our future's been managed. The illusion of discovery, choreographed. Choose your poison, chaos, or controlled ignorance. Which one scares you more? In the end, maybe that's the real secret of the 9. It's not the books, it's not the brotherhood, it's not the flying machines, or the death touch, or the interdimensional blueprints. It's the uncomfortable truth that knowledge without wisdom is fatal, and that somewhere, hidden in the cracks of history, someone understood that long before we did. Ashoka tried to stop humanity from destroying itself. The 9 unknown men, myth or real, embody that impossible mission. And now, it's your mission too. So the next time you hear a whisper about a forbidden book, or a genius vanishes without explanation, or the world miraculously avoids disaster by sheer luck, ask yourself, Is it luck? Or are the nine still watching? What do you believe? The nine unknown, myth, or hidden reality? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more forbidden history and mysteries for your initiation, subscribe, because the secrets never stay buried for long.